I was worried about this director's style as she will direct the finale as well. After this episode, I can confidently say it will be a banger. This felt like the most cinematic Star Wars episode of Disney Plus. Cinematography and story was very reminiscent of The Last Jedi, which I found very complex yet captivating. Osha's also literally dressed like Rey. They're on an island like Act 2, and she's being tempted by a sexy former Jedi slash dark side user. Those creatures also look so blatantly phallic. I'm just saying. I called it Osha and Mai switched phases like the moon. Kimir mentions he's lived a very long time. I feel like that's a Plagueis Palpatine connection on immortality. When Kimir mentions his sealed cortosis helmet, it reminds me of when Obi-Wan gave Luke a covered helmet, which allowed him to successfully deflect the training remote shots. Usually a Jedi trait, but now we see it in a dark side user, which further proves Kimir's whole no, I'm not a Sith, but I'm also not a Jedi. I really hope this connects to the Knights of Ren. I mean, you can clearly hear Ren's theme in the background and in the credits. Man, this show sucks because I have to wait every week to get more. I think next time I'll just wait and binge it. I'm doing that with Bad Batch and it's so much better. Also, that show has more episodes, so. Plus, you don't get bombarded with unnecessary speculation, spoilers, and impatience. This only works with a serialized network show. Anyway, this was like an 8 out of 10. Not gonna lie, I didn't see the point of this episode. Not much was covered other than things we already knew. Usually seeing the other side of a story works when there's a lot of unanswered questions, and it drastically changes the viewer's stance. Yet May did still burn the village. The witches are at fault. They took control of Torben, Kelnaka, and were trying to convince the mother to not let them leave with Osha. Sol did slay the mother, but tensions were already high and she acted first. You never know what a witch is capable of. I wonder what causes people to either feel strongly like Sol or be guided by cold logic like Indara. Maybe psychology, genetics, or midichlorians, which are basically just magic bacteria, right? Not too dissimilar to what we have in our gut. We still don't know why Torben went into a stasis. It's not like this was that big of a deal for him to be like that. If he had caused the death of another Jedi or something, that would have been appropriate. His scars don't even equate what happened to him. I thought Kel would have slashed him across the face with his claws or saber, but nope. I like the way Torben fought though. Interesting how him and Kel have the same colored sabers as later Yord and Jeki had. Jeki even used Kel's saber later on. I wonder if there's a symbolic connection there. Song at the end was good at least. Overall, it was well directed but not well written. Not much new ground here. Felt like they just had to stretch the story over a series to appease XX. So, 6 out of 10. This was directed by the same man who directed episode 3, so this was expected. Now, the lady who directed that Last Jedi episode will direct the finale, so I'm expecting that to be a banger, and hopefully, it's satisfactory for the most part. Pretty satisfying finale that feels very Star Wars again. Though this finale warranted a must-have season 2, I worry public reception will deny it that. The same way Obi-Wan and Boba were turned into shows after Solo bombed. Oh well. At least this season felt very contained and resolved itself nicely. I'd say Osha's turn felt abrupt, but number one, I'm reminded of Anakin and how abrupt that also felt. Number two, the dark side is quite the slippery slope. We obviously don't have it IRL, so we don't know exactly how it feels. Similar real world examples would be temptation and mental illnesses. Anyway, seeing a crystal finally bullied in live action was pretty sweet, and while I didn't find Osha and Mai scene very emotional, the actress is absolutely talented. Halfway through this episode, I reminded myself, alright, they're the same actor. Usually with doubles, that's all you can think about, how they filmed it, but not here. Moon Knight did a good job with that as well, but I felt it was done even better here. Can't believe that theory was correct about Kimir being Vernestra's former apprentice. I knew there must have been a reason she was so guarded the whole season. Now we know why. She must feel as guilty as Soul, seeing as how she gave Kimir that scar on his lower back. Man was whipped. I can't help but think a lot of characters I liked were wasted / unessential to the story. Bjorn, Jackie, Kel, and Torben. I love these guys, but we unfortunately never got to explore them. Instead, we're left with the worst looking Jedi group of all time. Also, they left Yord's apprentice in the dirt. Not literally, of course. So, David Harewood's character, that senator who's opposed to the Jedi and predicts Anakin, is quite intriguing, but if there's not a season 2, then we won't get to explore. I love this guy as Martian Manhunter as Supergirl, though. What the F is that creature on Kimir Island? Plagueis? Who the F was Vern talking to? Palpatine? I mean, no, he'd be like a kid or a baby at this point, but I mean, all his talk about immortality and prolonging his life, I wouldn't be surprised if he managed to at least have a longer lifespan. I mean, that's not impossible. I liked how May surviving the fall is a neat callback to both Maul and Luke. Or maybe just Luke. I gotta say, the only part I'm not satisfied with is Saul's character and death. Like, he just chased Osha and Mai around the whole season, dies in such an abrupt way, and then gets framed as a rogue Jedi. But hey, I'm not gonna lie, Osha as a dark Jedi with Kimir is certainly an interesting duo, and an amnesiac May with Vernestra is pretty sweet as well. All in all, I really hope we get a season 2. This show is actually really great. Fun, tense, nostalgic, expansive. This episode, I want to say like a 7 out of 10, but my enjoyment, honestly, was like I think the beginning of the show was definitely way stronger. That was the strongest. It was directed by Leslie herself, so it was the strongest. Those 2 episodes were the strongest of the whole season. The rest of the show was alright. It kind of felt like Boba Fett, where the second episode was fantastic, and then the rest of the show is just bleh. Same with The Witcher. The Witcher episode 1, season 1 was amazing, and then the rest of the season was just what? So, that's unfortunate. Alright, whole show rating, here we go.